Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Gemini. If Gemini is your solar, lunar, ascendant/rising sign, then this is a message for you. Okay, let's get started. Okay, knock, knock, knock. Let's see what these tea leaves have to say. And I hope you all are doing well. The house just got very quiet. Usually there's a lot more ambient sound from the appliances, but it's really quiet in here. Okay, let's see. Okay, so we have it looks like we have a lot. This looks like a reading that applies to quite a time span. And so it seems that we have a lot of different kind of paths. This is backwards. A lot of different paths, a lot of different time periods that have kind of come and gone. We also have this large heart. Okay. And so, excuse me, and I'm going to apologize. If you've seen any of my videos in the last couple weeks, you will know I had COVID and I'm still getting over the residual effects of that. So my throat's just voice kind of give out towards the end of the day, and that's when I do my reading. So that can be a little trying. So please bear with me. And I thank you for your patience. So we have the heart. It's very well formed. And if you can see on the side here, it's very thick, dense. And this is in a very emotional place here. This is emotional, psychic. There's a strong, strong soul bond here. I think that this has also been this is part of that large, expansive and spanning story. And I don't know exactly that it's romantic, but I do know that it feels very important. Okay. Something that seems central to kind of your identity in some ways. But I'm looking at, it seems like it is very, very immediate, very present in your current heart, mind. But I'm seeing right below it, it looks like a person who kind of has a bag on and they look like they're headed out. Okay, so these kinds of symbols like this make me think that there's been some movement. I believe that this relationship, whatever the dynamic is not really happening at the moment. Although I do believe that you are still very much in it in your heart. Okay, you're still very attached to this person, and because of just kind of how scattered things are and these different, it's almost like something just kind of blew up or scattered in the wind. And there have been all of these different directions traveled. And I think that there must have been kind of a central incident. And I'm seeing all these 7, 7, 7, 7. I think it has to do with something with a 7. Maybe a date. Could be like a month, a date, a number of people involved, maybe. I don't know exactly, but I am seeing a reoccurring 7. And so, I'm putting this together in my head a little bit, so I'm sorry that I'm not getting right to it. But really, I think that what has happened here is that there was a very strong bond that kind of formed because of some kind of ordeal that happened in your past. Maybe when you were young, in your youth. I think it did involve this person as well. And they kind of went through it with you, or, excuse me, were involved in your life, in your community, in your family possibly, while this thing was happening, or when this thing happened. It could have been an ongoing situation, or maybe it was like an acute incident. I'm not exactly, that's not clear to me, but whatever it was fairly traumatic. I don't know if it was a death, if it was an actual kind of accident, maybe like a car accident or something, the death of a friend. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate too much, but I'm trying to think of something, in your youth, something seemed, as an adult, what seems very serious maybe doesn't, compute to being very serious as a child, and that's vice versa as well. Sometimes things that happen in childhood that seem like big and kind of really change your world dramatically maybe wouldn't be so all-consuming as an adult. So I'm not exactly sure what this thing was, but I know that through this situation, you became very close with this person, okay? I think that you had an ongoing friendship, closeness, very strong bond, and there was a lot of love there. And I think that there's still a lot of love. However, I think that as the years went on, and as a lot of different things probably took place, obviously our lives change quite a bit as we grow older and older, and we do different things, and I think that at some point with this person, there was some kind of rejection that happened. Or at least it was perceived by you to be a rejection. I feel that this loosening of your bond, maybe this separation of some kind. Maybe somebody moved, went to school, went to college. The military maybe. Something happened where there was a disruption in the way that both of you interacted, okay? And I think that's partially what we're seeing here with this person kind of with their bag, right? I also see in this I see two kind of beings coming together and in kind of a lock bond. I almost see them kind of on their knees towards each other with their hands out. And then behind it is a question mark, right? So I feel that in this separation, you kind of almost, it seems like you doubled down. You got even more intense about trying to stick together. And I think that for the person that you were entangled with here, I believe that this almost kind of put them in a position where they felt that your expectations of the relationship began to be unagreeable for them, but also kind of unrealistic. I think that this relationship was really, this friendship relationship, and I keep saying relationship, but like I said, this doesn't have to, this could be platonic for sure. It could even be like a sibling. But I think that you are very reliant on this person, as far as emotionally, especially, but also just, I think, finding some kind of identity. I feel that you're probably to some degree, maybe have a little bit of anxiety about, like, around socializing. I think that you're probably very sensitive to people's emotions and energies. And this person kind of kept you balanced feeling. They were almost kind of like somebody that could help you go out into the world and, like, feel very confident that in some way you're protected, even if it wasn't super conscious, right? Something about your bond with this person really just felt like you were two halves of a whole, okay? And I do believe that they feel and felt the same way. But, you know, I think that as life happened and, you know, you kind of grew up, they had other priorities and were experiencing this close relationship with you in a different way than you were. And I think when you kind of parted, I don't think it was really, it wasn't necessarily on bad terms, but it was re-traumatizing. It brought up a lot of the old stuff from your origins, the origins of your closeness together. And I feel that that was very, very, very devastating for you. Okay. And I think that in a lot of ways, over the years since then, this has kind of colored the way that all of your other relationships have gone. I feel that it's hard for you to trust people. I feel that you have a really hard time being open and vulnerable, expressing your emotions. I think that there's really a feeling of abandonment and a lot of anxiety around that. feeling like if you let somebody in too close, you know, that they're just gonna take off on you for whatever reason. And it's very much related to this situation. And I don't know if you are in contact with this person, but I feel that you think about them a lot. I think that they're often on your mind, okay? And I'm just trying to look this over a little bit. I feel that well, and I want to kind of, I want to bring up this card before we get a little further, but, I think that you have come to a point in your life where you are starting to realize you do want more serious, lasting friendships, relationships, something in your life that is meaningful for you. And I don't necessarily even think that it has to do with really being super in a romantic relationship, although that could be. But I think to some extent you are kind of just tired of having superficial friendships, relationships, maybe just kind of things that happen at work. They're cordial and, pleasant within their context, but it's difficult for you to figure out how to get to another level with people. Or if you are pursued by somebody who wants to get to know you, I think that it's difficult for you to allow them in without being kind of really suspicious or just having a lot of, I think almost to the point of like a terror of like letting somebody affect you emotionally in a way that really is moving to you. But I think that definitely here we have the Four of Wands, and this is the card related to completion. And I do very much believe that this is very in your consciousness. You are wanting to resolve and let this old thing go. At least get to a point where it doesn't hurt anymore the way that it did. That you're not comparing other people and other engagements with people to this old relationship, this past relationship, friendship, kind of a best friend, soulmate type of situation. And I think that you want something else to be able, you want to make the room so something else can begin. And I think that this is really coming into your consciousness. And I think this is a shift because I believe that you did spend some years being okay with kind of just living in the hope that something will bring you back together in the same way that it once was, okay? And like I said, I don't know if you're really in contact with them, but I suspect that you at least passively know about their lives through social media, friends, family members, and maybe you are in contact, but as most of us know, as you get older, it's harder, maybe it's just me, I don't know. It's harder and harder to have very meaningful relationships with people from your past or your youth even. And I don't think it's like anything personal, as far as like the people or them directly, but it's like, you know, you start to, you live different lives. You don't have enough time. I mean, you're just focused on a lot of things. And if, you know, they're not part of your everyday life or your direct family unit, friend group, you only really have so much energy for so many people to be very close with, right? And so I think that it makes sense that at some point you would go through a very intentional kind of departure from living in those old memories. And I believe also is that that because of whatever situation this bond arose from, I feel that you've probably done some work in regards to that situation, maybe in therapy, maybe just going through it yourself or with somebody that you know and trust. And so there's been some shifted perspective and resolving some of the pains of that situation and looking at it with older eyes, older understanding, some wisdom. And so that need for that relationship or that safety in that relationship, even if it's past, and you're still kind of dwelling in the essence of it or the impression, the lasting impression of it, some of that is also kind of resolved. So you were left with this place of limbo a little bit where you have to kind of decide to seek some true closure. And I'm looking here. I've been looking at this one and you're probably thinking, okay, get to the bull now. But I see this fish and I look at it, it's not necessarily a koi, but it looks like a big and beautiful fish and really holds the same types of meanings of that longevity, prosperity, good health, wisdom, sustenance in your life. I think there's a lot of spiritual sustenance and a lot of eagerness to really become an active player in your own life, right? I think that sometimes we can spend years and, you know, years just kind of going along with things, daydreaming about what once was or what could have been, and then something kind of wakes us up and it's like, okay, what do I need to do to kind of live in the now, to enjoy the now? What do I even want for myself now? I've been living in the past for so long. I don't necessarily even know what I would want, you know? And so I think that you really are at this point where there's just a wide open field of possibilities. I think that you have moments of kind of excitement and anticipation about where things could go. I also wonder if I'm also really wondering if you are thinking about kind of doing some kind of project related to some of these themes that have happened in your earlier life, but as kind of to honor them, a tribute, but to let it go, right? To kind of finally tie up the loose strings and, you know, just really kind of put it into a nice little package and just release it. Let it have its own life. And I see this kind of really beautiful, it almost reminds me of like those old Persian scrolls of archangels with the beautiful kind of pointed wings, and kind of on this, I don't know, kind of pedestal looking down, and it looks like it's kind of writing right here, and you can see this. And so to me, what this reminds me of is this concept. A lot of artists and magic practitioners, not necessarily, not stage magic, but magicians, occultists, kind of talk about this idea of being visited by the muse. These kind of moments where they're so in that creative flow that they don't even really remember where it comes from. It just kind of speaks through them. And I think that if you really allow yourself to put that pen to paper, I really do believe that this thing will kind of just come out of you. And I think that it will be a really cathartic release, a cathartic exercise, and almost kind of like an extraction or maybe an exorcism of these old emotions, right? And, you know, I think it's always beautiful when we're able to honor and pay homage to the things that kind of got us to where we're at. But, you know, we can only carry things for so long, especially if they are so heavy that we're unable to get ahead, right? So I think that, you know, although this feels like it comes from a place of a little bit of melancholy, maybe a little bit of, you know, missing and sadness, wishing for what was. I think that this is actually really happy because you're going through such a kind of shedding of your old skin, and it doesn't seem to be because of anything traumatic happening again. I think that this has just kind of been a natural progression for you. And also, I just want to say, I think it's really amazing that you have let yourself progress in a natural way. That you haven't forced yourself to do anything that you didn't feel moved to do. And what do I mean? You know, forcing yourself in relationships that didn't make sense to you, or you know, just really going to extremes because of the pain that you've had. But, you know, being able to kind of live your life with this kind of layer of your life experience and perspective, and just bringing it with you, but also knowing that you are coming to a place where it's time to kind of let go of some of that in a very intentional way. Okay. And I don't feel like it's of course it's painful, and I'm not trying to minimize that, but I do think that it feels like this is what should be happening. And I feel that you feel that way. And so, let's see what else we have here. So we have this like very prominent T. And it kind of almost looks like there's a bird sitting on it. And oddly, what comes to mind with this for me is that I think it would be really beautiful, a beautiful exercise as well, aside from maybe the creating and writing, is to maybe plant a tree as kind of a symbol of this rite of passage for you, okay, as a marker. And something about planting a tree or a bush or some kind of plant that is going to go through the seasons and grow over the years is that it really is a marker of time. And so, you know, in 10, 15 years, you'll be amazed what this tree has done and what you have done. And I think that it would be a really nice reminder for you. I also think with the bird sitting there in this kind of resting state, a kind of looking out and viewing, you know, all of the land around, I think that I feel a real calmness in your spirit and a kind of a sense of being rested. Okay, I also see another fish here, and this one actually does look more like a koi. And I really think that this is going to be a very lucky period of time for you. I really believe that when we are willing to sacrifice things that we care about in the purpose of growing, healing, allowing others to grow and heal, and for things to kind of, it's like that saying, you know, you let something go and if it comes back, it was yours. I don't necessarily like that, but I don't know that anything is ever really ours. I don't necessarily like the idea of the ownership, but I do think that there's something very important and beautiful about letting things go. Physical things, emotional things, spiritual things. Not getting too bound to any kind of concept or construct or you know, emotional thing or impression, or, you know, it's okay to visit, right? But when we get so wrapped up into, you know, these few things that we carry in life, and we make them our identity, we make them our purpose, our everlasting purpose, I think that is so limiting. And you know, it sets you up for a lot of tragedy. Life is hard enough. So, you know, if we can work towards having a limited number of anchors, or how am I trying to say this? Like, mental anchors, emotional anchors, personality anchors, right? And it's maybe anchor isn't the right word, but these places that we really tie ourselves to as being part of our personal mythology, okay? And so I think, and for me, I believe so much in this concept of sacrificing things that you are very attached to. And this one might sound silly, but, and this is why we have New Year's resolutions, I think. But for me, Last year it was giving up diet soda. I was drinking a lot. I felt very reliant on the caffeine and just the experience of drinking something that was cold and carbonated, and I did not want to give it up, but I did. And I do once in a while have a soda, or a sody as we call them in our household, but you know, it's a nice kind of, I take a taste really. I don't usually drink a whole soda, but it's a nice experience, but I don't need it, you know, and it's kind of, it feels good to be able to let go of things and not let them own who you are, right? There's something powerful in the act of letting go and still standing on 2 feet. So, this is the reading for you today, Gemini, and I want to thank you so much for spending some time with me. It's always such an honor to do these readings for you, to bring the messages. I want to thank you for your time, and if you would be so kind as to like the video, it helps me get into the algorithm. If you haven't subscribed, please think about subscribing. You can hit the little bell. It'll let you know when the next videos come out. We're on a schedule now where I'm reading every sign once a week. So the next Gemini will be out in about 1 week. And in the meantime, you can watch your other placements. Other than that, leave a comment. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know what's going on with you. And yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. We will talk again very soon.